But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
evening, and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, inspiration, right? It's one of those things. Yeah, my camera's broken. I'll fix it in a sec. It's fitting that it broke tonight to start. Inspiration. We'll start with inspiration tonight, which is a funny thing, right? We've talked about where ideas come from. We've talked about writing, the muses. We've talked about all manner of things over the years on this show. And one of the most bizarre parts of it to me is that inspiration is what always brings me back, okay? And I'm saying that because I was looking for inspiration tonight, and I wasn't sure where to go. I wasn't sure where to start. I knew we had just done, a couple shows with the titles Here Be Dragons and Wizards of the North, and it felt right to do some sort of knights or goblins, the goblin horde, something like that. And I'm like, I don't know. It feels contrived, whatever. Let me look back in the archive and see where we were, kind of around this time in the years past. And so I go back to the very first broadcast of Troubled Minds Radio on YouTube. Yeah. And guess what? It was tonight, 8 years ago. Exactly 8 years ago tonight, the Troubled Minds journey began. Fumbling, stumbling, trying to figure out what the hell was going on in a world that made no damn sense. Okay? Well, here we are 8 years later. And you know what the wild part is? It has been arguably the most chaotic and crazy 8 years in the history of humanity. I mean, maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic there, but I think World War II was probably horrific. World War I, horrific. But as far as just like high strangeness, weird news, the craziest stuff you've ever considered becoming real or considered anything, well, yeah, the last 8 years probably is a cherry on the top of all the nuttiness. And I've got a list. So I've got a list of 8 years of just astonishing things that happened in the past 8 years. Okay. And I will fix the camera, so don't worry. We'll get me on the camera here in a second. But okay, so here's the I'm going to just read it. I'm going to read it because it seems appropriate to just read the damn thing, even though I'm trying to fix the. Hold on, let me move this out of the way. Let's, screw it. We'll just put it on the screen over there. There we go. All right, broadcasting on the thing. Okay, I'll read it. Yeah, here we go. 8 years ago this week, we went live for the first time. We had no idea what was coming. Nobody did. But here's the thing that only becomes clear from the back end of 8 years. We were already talking about it. All of it. Before the hearings, before the whistleblowers, before the Netflix documentaries on the congressional subcommittees, and the serious people in expensive suits using words that would have gotten them laughed out of polite company in 2017. Tonight, we're not going to do a clip show. We're not doing a greatest hits. We're asking a stranger question. What does it mean that a paranormal podcast was already fluent in the conversation before the conversation officially began? And whether the listening itself had anything to do with what eventually arrived. And yeah, so we'll start there. And look, I couldn't be more proud of what we've built here together, all the trials and tribulations and the things we've learned along the way. And it's I don't know, it's like anything, right? You stick with it and you get better, and I don't know. It's a weird feeling, to be honest, because I've figured I'd be nationally syndicated and wildly rich by now, which, none of those things are true. but not everything is about money and adoration and all the rest, right? So tonight we're going to talk about what 8 years of Troubled Minds means to you. And what is the nuttiest thing you can think of in the past 8 years? And I don't know, maybe a top three, like a top three of just the craziest stuff. And please, we'll bend the rules a little bit tonight. We don't do politics, but if you want to do, a clown was elected president, fine. Okay. Add that as one of them, right? Whatever. Okay. Like face paint in the hole, right? Idiocracy has arrived, whatever. But the top three things you think are just the absolute most mind-boggling whatevers that turned out to be true in the past 8 years. That's where we'll start. Lots of ideas I've got, and it's just, I don't know. It's a weird space to be in. It's a I don't know. Like I said, it's sweet, and it's also a little bittersweet because it feels like it should have been farther along here, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad to have been here with all of you. I'm not quitting tonight, so don't worry. I'm just there's a little bit of retrospective for me, kind of thinking out loud here as I talk to myself. No script, by the way. I'm not going to chase down a narrative tonight. Just going to talk. Just going to ramble and prove to y'all I still got it or I still don't. And that's it. That's where we start. I'm calling this Already Fluent, the broadcast before the signal. And you obviously know what that means, is that we may not have predicted all of this, but we were certainly looking in the appropriate directions when these things started coming down the pike, which many people were not. And so there's that. I mean, we've been through COVID together. Remember all that craziness, just on and on and on and on. Yeah, there you go. Fred's still waiting for his blaster and his flying car, which have not arrived, still not here. I think James is probably still waiting for his robes in the mail. I think those have probably not arrived yet. There's a lot of things that probably haven't arrived, but still, it's an interesting thing to consider just what the conspiracy space looked like 8 years ago versus what it looks like today, because they're openly talking about summoning demons from portals. I mean, on the mainstream news, and it's like, well, who saw that coming? Anyway, that's what's going on tonight. We're just kicking it. If you got stuff to talk about and want to kind of point some things out, maybe your favorite moments from Troubled Minds or memories or whatever, like whatever it is, I don't care. And what the last 8 years has been, and what the mind space of the community conspiracy has become. Because I think personally, if you told me all the things that I know now 8 years ago, that all this was going to happen over the next 8 years, I'd laugh at you. I would have absolutely just rolled out of my chair and wouldn't have been able to say anything, because I would have been, just a mess. Because no, I never would have believed you. They're like, get out of here. That doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. Look, it's been a wild 8 years. Lots of things have changed. Lots of things have happened. We've lost friends and family. It's been wild. Oh, and some good news actually in that regard. Like just as we finished the show last time, I said we had some bad news in the family. Well, miracles do happen, and through the miracle of modern science and modern doctors and quick care, it looks like, cross your fingers that we're not going to have another one down. We might have a recovery here. So yeah. I mean, look, the world has changed so fast, and life goes so quickly that I think it's I would be remiss if I didn't slow down to kind of sniff the roses a little bit and just hang out and kick it with my homies and talk about how crazy it has been. Yeah. And of course, you know me, how crazy is it going to get? Love to hear your thoughts tonight. We're taking your calls. I'll start the phone line now, matter of fact, because I didn't start it earlier, because I'm slacking. I wrote it into some technical issues, as you know. Anyway, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Going to get a quick word from our sponsor. I'll try and fix the camera while we are away, but be right back. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. We'll get James on here and Joe coming up as well. And you're taking your calls. The number to call tonight is 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And that's it. We'll put you on the show after a word from our sponsor. Be right back. More Troubled Minds in just 1 moment. Do not go anywhere.
In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? One moment here. Let me do this real quick. I think we could probably do that. Yep, that's good. And then probably back to here. Is it working? Can you see me? All right, let's go back to that and see what happens. All right. Test 1, 2. Nope, that's not working. All right, we'll do that, though. That'll work. There you go. Me in my natural habitat. There you go, with the nice wall behind me. One more time, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. 8 years of Troubled Minds. How wild and incredible is that? James in Michigan. What's up, brother? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you? Thanks for being patient and allowing me to ramble on. What's on your mind, my man?
It's really amazing it's been that long. I haven't even been here for the whole 8 years, and it still feels like it's been more than 8 years. Like, I feel like I've known you and so many people here for many more years than that, even though technically I know I haven't, which is really fascinating because, again, I vaguely remember when I found this show, and thinking about that now, everything was so different because I didn't know anyone here. And now, I mean, I'm here for most of these shows and with you all the time, and we talk on Discord so much on and off, and it's really amazing to think about that, because there are other shows I've always liked a lot. This is one of my favorite shows, but I'm not close with those communities as I am here.
Yeah, absolutely. The glue of the show. The glue of the show. Like, literally, so much of this has happened because of you being part of it and being as enthusiastic as you are and all the rest of that stuff. And that's the point. That's the whole point. And working as hard as you do on your craft, on getting things, better and better and better on your end. Look, if you go back to, like I've said, I was going back and listening to some of the original broadcast we did. It is just horrifically bad. I mean, we're always harder on ourselves or whatever, but just kind of listening to some of it. And look, I'm not gonna pull up the video. We're not gonna play clips. We're not gonna do that. If you do want to listen to it, it is on the podcast feed all the way back to the very first one. And I apologize for about the first 20% of the episodes. they're just not the best. But it was not just a learning process, but it was learning technology. It was learning about conspiracies and conspiracy culture. It was learning about these theories on aliens and all the rest. Anyway, yada yada. So it is there. And I was a little horrified that, and pointing out that there's always this growth process, and I'm way better now than I was on a microphone, way better collecting my thoughts and being able to kind of put it forward. And the reason I'm bringing that up, of course, is because you've had a very similar journey. Not that you were ever terrible, but that you are pro now, polished, that radio timing, like literally everything. If I go, James, we got 45 seconds, you literally end at 44.5 seconds. You are absolutely fire all the time with great ideas and great timing, and just better than you've ever been. And I appreciate you very much. And that's not why we're doing this, by the way. I'm not saying call and kiss my ass, but it is an interesting concept when you think about how long you've been doing things. And that old trope where you just sort of succeed out of nowhere. You're like, oh, these guys came out of nowhere, and then here we are, grinding in the trenches like night after night. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, there's a compliment to you, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and a lot of it is being here for these shows. The timing that comes from just so much practice. it's and just learning how that works but yeah, it's really amazing too how that happened. This anniversary happened right around the same time as my 1000th episode. Like, all this happened within the last week, basically. And so that's really amazing to think of where I was and where, where this show was. We're like listening to you when I first found you all. It was a great show, but even since then, which was like maybe 2 or 3, I think it was like 2 years in, I enjoy these shows now. I think even more than I did the shows back then. And that's nothing against anyone, you or anyone that calls in. It's just the way it is now. And I think that does come from considering all these ideas all the time and talking with so many people and just so much practice at it as well.
Practice makes perfect. What's the old saying goes, time and pressure, right? Is what carved the Grand Canyon, we're told. So why not, right? Why not keep the tradition and the work ethic alive and talk about wild and weird things? Did you get a chance to give any thought to any of the wildest things that happened in the past 8 years on sort of top of your mind? If not, we can come back to you and you can think about it. But just wanted to ask before we kind of got into some of that stuff, because I do have a list I'm going to go through, and even go back to the first episode and read some of the, the quote conspiracies we talked about back then 8 years ago. And the first episode was called Conspiracy Query. And I've got the list of the actual conspiracies we talked about with Frank that first episode. But anything come to mind in the past 8 years that it was just off the rails ridiculous, that changed the paradigm of how we perceive reality? Anything that kind of stuck with you when you were kicking that idea around?
Really, it's been as little as I think it's really changed in the big picture of things. It's been all the hearings, the Congress, the alien UFO stuff that has happened through Congress, even though I don't think it's really done a ton overall, and that's just my own opinion, it's still more than we've seen, I believe, in many, many years on that. I mean, actual events in Congress. Now, I do believe a lot of that is for show in different ways, but it still happened. And that's still fascinating to me, because I hadn't heard of anything like that happening for a long time. I think the last thing I heard of that was similar was the sort of but the event at the National Press Club, where they had former military and intelligence and people go and basically give testimony there, but it wasn't an official event. Whereas in these last few years, or so, they whatever happened, whatever was going on there, whatever didn't get revealed, it was still official hearings. It was still official things that were happening, proceedings that were happening within the government.
Yeah, exactly. And that's only sort of one slice of this. Like you can look at this, and I was going back, like I said, through the time span. And when we first came out with this, it was right after that New York Times article that had just hit that previous December, and we started in April. And it was kind of at the height of the Tom DeLonge thing with the To the Stars Academy. And he was literally going on Joe Rogan saying that they had these old arts parts that you could, blast with, what did he say? Terahertz or something. And it would float. It would anti-grav. Like, I mean, he was, all this stuff was hitting the mainstream, and people were like, dude, like, this is it. This is disclosure. And then here we are 8 years later. I chuckle, because we've put this under the microscope so many times. But isn't it wild to consider that was sort of the zeitgeist space back then, and the beginning of, dare I suggest, one of the greatest psyops of all time? I don't know. Maybe a little hyperbolic. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say it's definitely the biggest, widest implementation of such a psyop, I think, in a long time. I mean, this has gone national. And just probably international as well. But yeah, the attention that all these hearings, but it's paradoxical in a way, because yes, these things happen, but whenever I talk to family or friends outside of these communities about these hearings and all that, half of them hadn't even heard of it or more. So it is, I don't know, it has been a weird time to be, interesting times we've been around in, for sure.
Yeah, and that's one of the long mantras of troubled minds. We always say, may you live in interesting times, my friend, because you bet your ass the last 8 have been absolutely interesting, to say the least. And yeah, I mean, look, we went through the disclosure craze. I've got a list. We'll get to it. Is in the write-up. If you check it out, there's some really good stuff in there, some good examples. I mean, look, if you think back in the day, we were talking Oumuamua like crazy. We were talking the Parker Solar Probe. We were talking about that type of thing that they were actually launching into space. And then as we went through this, we went into the James Webb Telescope, right? I mean, just so many things have happened in this space that, I mean, in the span of time that, you might say that the conspiracy theorist mindset needs to calm down a little bit, because a ton of stuff did happen, like a ton of stuff, a ton of technological stuff too. So I don't know. I mean, Oumuamua, right? So literally in the last 8 years, we've had no less than 3 interstellar interlopers, interstellar visitors from who knows where, in the form of Oumuamua, 3i Atlas, and that other one 2i Borisov is the other name. So I remember them all. But look, I don't know. It's weird that a lot of this stuff has kind of come and gone. A lot of it's been hyped as aliens. A lot of it has just been nothing burgers, like you said, and still doesn't find a way to crack the public consciousness as you described. And I think this is what they're trying so hard for, where all the clickbait and all the misrepresentation and the flat out lying about stuff in the media, and even the dubious origins of this New York Times article, the Lou stuff and the TTSA. I mean, I don't know, man. Like it all seems as if the curtain has come down. The veil has been lifted in terms of at least us recognizing that the media itself is putting on a show and quite a bit less interested in finding the truth about anything.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot more focus on that and a lot less focus, maybe even less than before, I'm not sure, but a lot less focus on individual experiences overall as well, except unless they do fit into certain narratives. And I think we've also seen the way that various people within the government or corporations have used experiencers. I'm not going to say names because that's not really the point, but just the way that these people are used and their stories are used to push certain narratives. I'm happy to sit in tonight if that's okay, and talk more whenever there's time and whenever I have more ideas.
Glad to have you. I didn't even have to remind you that we were coming to a break. He knew. And by the way, here you go. Give you the radio clock. James finishes right there at about 1 minute to break time. Bragging on James. James, you're the best. SalcedoParanormal.com. You know him, you love him, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds, the glue of the show. Good to sit in with us tonight. I appreciate it very much. And we're celebrating 8 years. 8 years of conspiracy query and wondering how much has changed and how weird is it going to get? As you know me, two of my favorite questions. Why not ask them again? 702 857-6939. Yeah, 857-6939. See, I got the thing. It's so close to the other number, it screws me up. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Calling this already Fluent, the broadcast before the signal. How has conspiracy culture changed in 8 years, and what are the nuttiest things that have gone down in true reality since? Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. I'm Michael Strange. Catch you in just a moment. We got Joe in Florida. We got Herschel coming up. More from James and your calls as well. Do not go anywhere.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Before the world knew what to call it, we were already in the signal. Before the hearings and the headlines, we were listening through the static. Nobody was tuned to this frequency. Nobody was watching the dark. We built our vocabulary in the margins. We mapped the territory before the maps. Already fluent in the language of the strange. Already home in the country with no name. The broadcast before the signal broke through. 8 years of pointing the antenna at the truth. They came with the cameras and their committees. Found a conversation already in progress. The words we've been speaking in the wilderness became the words they read into the record. We didn't predict it. We were just already pointed that way. oracle doesn't invent the fire. The oracle stays in the chamber and listens, already fluent in the language of the strange. Already home in the country with no name. The broadcast before the signal broke through. 8 years of pointing the antenna at the truth. Something is still coming. We don't know its name. We don't know its frequency. We'll recognize it anyway. We've been listening long enough. We'll recognize it anyway. The channel stays open. The channel stays open. Still transmitting. Still here. Still listening.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're looking back 8 years and wondering how much the conspiracy mind's eye has changed. How quickly the world has decided that the aliens are here or not. And of course, what is the strangest thing that you think has happened in the span since we started? That's right, 8 years ago tonight was the first live stream of Troubled Minds. We called it Conspiracy Query, and I've even got a list of the conspiracies that we talked about. And I'm going to read them just real briefly because I think it's adorable. It is so adorbs. Hold on one moment, please, and let me read this. Okay, so the first batch of conspiracies we talked about were the assassination of Julius Caesar, the Church Committee, a conspiracy known as Acoustic Kitty, of course, Operation Mockingbird, a classic, and that Zero Hedge article talking about the CIA created the phrase to discredit conspiracy theorists, Operation Northwoods, and that was kind of it. And it was really just looking at the fact that history is full, completely chock full of conspiracies, and we only really scratch the surface. And it is adorbs. It's very Conspiracy 101, you know, I mean, as you might expect from some rookies kind of putting their toes in the ocean of wild ideas. But look at 8 years later and look at all the things that have passed in the news cycles, in the government, and everywhere else. Love to hear your thoughts. What do you think is the wildest thing that happened in 8 years? And what do you think will happen in the next 8? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James, anything to add? And then we'll go to Joe and then Herschel after that.
Well, I think the next thing that everyone's going to figure out eventually is that cats are aliens and they already rule the world. And, you know, most people just don't know about it yet because they don't realize they've been, you know, trained. And that's going to be the next big reveal at some point. Just a guess there.
A return to the old ways, the old the Egyptian trope of the cat time traveling. You know, the dog sees itself and it sees like the pug travels back in time and the wolf goes WTF, and the cat travels back in time to the other cat and tells the ancient cat, yep, they still worship us. Yes, indeed. You may be right, James. 702-857-6939. Sorry, 957-6939. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Joe in Florida. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Thanks for being patient. What is on your mind? How's the last 8 years feel?
Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Feels like you've been here the whole time. Doesn't feel like 8 years. I'd rather not think about 8 years, because for me, my personal journey was hearing you in a hospital room while my kid was, well, they were trying to figure out that he had Crohn's and surgeries and things. And I would wait till late at night till he fell asleep before I would go eat, like on the late shift with the hospital crew, and come back to the room and have my laptop, and you had your show on with Frank. And I think I started calling in just because it didn't seem like anybody else was calling. And it was kind of refreshing to know that there was somebody else out there that was probably just as off the wall, but had to keep it in till we have like minds. And here we are, this little neat group of people that contribute. James, thank you for riding shotgun a lot, because Michael, if I could ride shotgun, I would. I just don't always have the time, and sometimes it could be a little more gruff. But you guys are pretty even-keeled and very good hosts. And Michael, you are there's been times where you've had people come on here and there, and you've handled them really, really good. I can't really tell you any detail, but I know we've had some people that you've given more than their fair share of time, and have nicely, cut them off, and that's it. So sometimes I wish when I'm doing a funeral and somebody gets up and maybe talks too much and the family's going nuts, and I might have to call the cops or get the hook to pull them off stage. Sometimes maybe I could use you there. I could channel you to get them off.
Yeah,
I digress.
You're good. Funny thing about that, because I was the one controlling the buttons when Frank was here, and so our code for, like, if Frank was talking to a caller and they were kind of getting off the rails and he was tired of them, he would say thanks for the call, and I would just hang up on him. So we did have a code word for that. And funny enough, you need one for your space there too. Yeah, and dial 911 or whatever. I mean, that's a hard place to be in too, because everybody's kind of losing it, and you get some person overzealous kind of pick up a microphone and they won't shut up. I mean, dear God.
Well, what I usually see is family's Catholic. The priest comes up, he does his thing. And then you get somebody in the crowd, no offense to anybody, but you get somebody that's born again and they want to go up there and they think they have a captive audience. And sometimes the priest knocks them down. Sometimes that's what needs to be done, because there's a place and time for everything. But anyway, before I have a little list, but did you know, or did you hear, there was two things in the news yesterday. I forgot the one, but the one that found interesting was, and this gets back into technology and probably Havana syndrome and other things, but when they found that pilot, I don't know if you heard the news about how they found the pilot with some kind of artificial diamonds and a satellite. They could hear a heartbeat. Did you hear any of that craziness?
I did. It was called something whisper, like a
murmur.
Murmur,
whisper, murmur, or something
like that.
Murmur.
Yeah, and so I'll pull up the article here in a sec. But yeah, they were suggesting that they found this dude in the Iranian desert. I mean, the story's wild because it's all over the place. You're not sure how much is true and how much is not true because, of course, wartime propaganda and all the rest. But that they detected his heartbeat out there in the desert among all the crawly, the snakes and stuff too. I mean, anyway, go ahead.
So if that's true, not that we're going to take off on a show for this, and not that I believe in this, but now all of a sudden it's like the moon. I go back and forth. Yeah, we went to the moon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we went to the moon. And then you kind of go, huh? Right? But 5G, the towers, all of these things that I don't necessarily believe in. But now all of a sudden you can home in on a heartbeat. What are you telling me?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
yeah. That's probably not the best thing to say because again, so Jen says in the chat, why not use that to find like lost people, like lost in the woods and deserts and stuff? Yeah. I mean, missing 411 would like a copy of that technology so they can go help find these people in these national parks that end up missing all the time. I mean, so that's the type of stuff that really makes your tinfoil tingle, as I like to say, because if that were the case, wouldn't that be used to save, I don't know, the Guthrie mom, what's her name? Savannah Guthrie? I mean,
Savannah Guthrie, I think. And then those scientists, those UFO scientists from wherever the hell they were, not S4, but in Ohio, whatever the place is in Ohio.
Yeah.
It's top secret or whatever. Those scientists, I think, were all, like a bunch of scientists are missing. But that guy was missing from like New Mexico or somewhere out by you, I thought. Not Vegas, but was it New Mexico? I don't know. I don't know where, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Jen. That's a good point.
Yeah. And so that becomes a thing. So if we have this technology, and look, it's not a surveillance state if somebody's missing and they deploy a technology it's like rolling a helicopter out there, right? Like, sure, you don't want a helicopter over your house 24 hours a day, but if somebody's missing in the woods, you would sure like a helicopter to go look for them, or maybe a couple or a few helicopters, right? I mean, this, like I said, make it make sense, because a lot of the stuff that comes out of the mainstream media, especially from directly from the government itself, it just doesn't make any damn sense, man.
No, it doesn't. And then kind of maybe, I wanted to kind of blow through a couple of things, but changing the subject maybe, but one of the things I think we had talked about was like Havana syndrome. And now all of a sudden, you know, I remember you did at least one show on that. And then I remember there was an article, and I want to say maybe it was when Obama was in office, but and it was on CNN News, whatever, but there was a part of the White House Rose Garden, or a part of a garden that supposedly had been microwaved. And now all of a sudden, what happened when we went to Venezuela? What was the reports in Venezuela all of a sudden? So we had these things about Havana syndrome going back to probably the 60s and 70s. I mean, my uncle, I mentioned the book called like Microwaving America or something like that came out in the 70s. But now all of a sudden, when we go and get Maduro out of Venezuela, all of a sudden, it's a reality. It's in the mainstream, right? That we have this weapon that can, you know, it's not a sound. It's not so much that it's a low acoustic device, whatever they call it. It's something totally different that'll vibrate you and make you bleed.
Yeah, I was actually,
that's in the mainstream.
I was waiting for a particular guest to come on to talk about it. I'll see if I can get him on to talk about that, but I skipped it for that reason. I wanted to talk about him because he's a contractor, has some expertise in these things, and can kind of speak to it, you know, not giving up top secret stuff, but more directly would know whether this type of technology is feasible or if it's just a nonsensical tale. And like you said, supposedly they swooped in, that people were blinded and deafened, and they couldn't, they were shaking and dropping their weapons and vomiting blood. And I mean, all kinds of stories came out of this. And really the mainstream didn't pick up on it at all. I mean, because it's a terrifying thing to consider that you could swoop in and literally turn an entire defensive force inert entirely. And not only that, let's say jam their signals. So even whatever kind of countermeasures they had to help, you know, their human meat suit stuff, even that was messed. So, I mean, look, I don't know, like that's scary as hell. And if that's true, then, well, you know what comes next.
well, then you need an excuse to get the money for all those weapons. So that's when you conveniently post the gimbal video. I'm not saying that that's not true, but remember, we have had it on the show, and kind of a lot of us kind of think that, at least the way I look at it, because I try to be big picture, details, yeah, but you know, I forget yesterday, but the big picture, it was blah, blah, blah. I need more money. Blah, blah, blah. These things are running around their jets. We need more money. And look what's going on. And in the 8 years since this show's been on, just as a point of standpoint, you know, the one show that I always mention is that Hollywood, which I wish I could find it, whatever episode that is, but that show on Hollywood and the Hollywood. And I think I brought it up yesterday about the holly tree and the wood and the magic of all of that. That to me, like, you know, I think we're OG conspiracy people, but there's always something to learn. And that was one of the shows that really stuck with me that I didn't really realize, you know. And as the speaker that you had on was talking about Moses and the Egyptian, I remember being a kid watching the movie The Ten Commandments. And I think there's a scene in that movie, which has been years with Charlton Heston, but that he drops the stick on the ground and it turns into a snake. And then it like eats the other snake and whatever. And then he separates the water, you know, and you're like, okay, but when you see that movie when you were a kid, but then when you hear somebody talking about Hollywood and all of that, that show always sticks out, because I look at it as now we're being more than ever actively divided. And it is through screen media and TV. And, if it started in Hollywood, now it's on all our social media.
Yeah, well said. That old idea that you're talking about there, Hollywood, and sort of the esoteric stuff that came out of mass media and, of course, Hollywood itself, is all based in the secret teachings of all ages, Manly P. Hall. So if you haven't read that, add that to your list. It's one of those things. Ryan Gable does that a lot, talks about those ideas. He's very good at that, kind of talking about the different symbolism and how that stuff really comes together. But it is OG conspiracy, but to me, it's how do you put that together and sort of pick the what comes next from it? Because there's so much. It's just a cascade of information. It's like we do, right? Like I can kind of roll out of bed and come up with an idea, and we could talk about it for a couple hours. It's the same thing with them.
So,
go ahead.
And so here's the thing. I mean, when we're here being cynical, which I think is beneficial, the maybe juice, but getting back to the bigger thing, when you had UFO shows and things that we all hope to hear about, it is kind of disgusting that I get to see Anna Paulina Luna, whose office is down the block from me here in Florida, talk about trying to be the hero, that these people are taking these mantles up to be the heroes for disclosure. And here are the rest of us going, we're still waiting. But while we're saying we're still waiting, we haven't hung our hat on it to look like fools, right? Because we've heard cry wolf a million times. And, I'll give you a case in point. Who's the astrophysicist again? Avi Loeb. He seemed to want to be heard the whole time, Avi Loeb. And the guy's a physicist, So maybe you say it once or twice, but then it comes a point where, if I'm working for Harvard or whatever college, I got to be like, look, man, you got tenure, you got to write a paper. Calm down a little bit. Calm down, or you're not going to have a job. Think about it. And then think about the other extreme is Neil deGrasse Tyson. He doesn't believe at all, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson's like, if you're in a UFO, maybe grab an ashtray and bring back some evidence, right? So we got these two, opposites, but they, to me, look like fools. One, because maybe he should believe a little bit. I shouldn't say that. They're all very smart. They're very educated. I shouldn't say fools. But to hear one of them, Avi Loeb, speak, you're like, yeah, whatever. I think most of us here, at least most of us here, are like, yeah, okay, whatever. I got to go pay my taxes. I got to go make my paycheck.
I got to
put on a show. I got to get all this. It's fun. I wouldn't even say that we're in a cult. I wouldn't even say that anybody here, at least I hope nobody here, wakes up tomorrow and puts on their little hat with their little saying on it, whether it's aliens, like, I don't take your maybe juice mug, which, by the way, I still have it. I love it. I drink coffee in the maybe juice mug, right? I don't grab that mug and go running down the block saying, join my cult. You understand the undertones of what I'm telling you right now.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And especially here living in Florida, right? So, that's the shame about it. We have become extremists, not us here. But I think in 8 years, before then, but in 8 years, we have become totally extremists on either end of the spectrum that they tell us to make count every 4 years. Am I not being political? Because I really don't want to be, but I'm just making the statement that we all get pushed into this space. And at least here, you don't bring it up, and I really appreciate it. You don't bring that stuff up much. It's really good. It's a platform to vent. It's a platform to talk. It's a platform to just say stupid ideas. I probably don't want to hear myself talking from 8 years ago, but it was fun to call in because you didn't have a lot of callers, and then you got more callers. And then some of us kind of laid back because you had other callers, and that was a good moment that you had other callers. It was really a growing moment that I was happy about. So I'm just kind of rambling.
No, it's good.
Russell's going to go. And,
no, it's good. So, but that's the point, right? So, because this is not just mine, this is ours. We've all spent many hours together, kind of building these ideas, and you know, bouncing off of each other what we think and the rest of this stuff. And that's the amazing part. Regular people talking about extraordinary ideas. Look, I didn't have an agenda other than to do exactly that. And look, we've accomplished that, and that's a beautiful thing here.
And you have been in the crowd, and the people that some of the people here, I think Chef Pete, I don't know if he's on here, but he's up in Georgia. I'd like to go see him. And the wife and I want to come out to Vegas. She wants to come out to Vegas for a show. So that's going to be a thing. Maybe next year. I don't know. But I will tell you personally that the show has been here through some trying times in my life. One of those being my kid, who is excelling and doing well now. And the other one being when my sister-in-law passed away. And among all the coincidences and synchronicities that I have with the show and in my life, and I had some synchronicities yesterday, I had some weird stuff and things like that. But when my sister-in-law passed away, that night you did the show on the Walkers of Hawaii, which that was another thing I wasn't educated about. And I had the show on for normalcy, right? Like tonight. I like it. Tonight I got my 3D printer going again. I'm getting back to normalcy. I'm 3D printing, building costumes, doing things. It's running in the background. I'm on the show. I'll hang out for a little bit longer and go to bed. But when that show came on the next day, I told my wife, you and your sister went to Hawaii. And she goes, yeah. And I asked her about the ghost walkers. And my wife goes, yeah, that was a thing when we took a tour. And I said, well, I think your sister's telling us she wants to go to Hawaii because she lived in Hawaii. And here it was like a year later, 6 months later, I don't remember, but we took her ashes to Hawaii and we spread them in Hawaii. But that show, that synchronicity, and then the ones that came after were basically telling us, let's go to Hawaii as a family with her, you know, my wife's nephew, which is, you know, was the son basically who lost his mother when he was like high school. He graduated high school without his mother being there. You know, we had to do a lot, but this show was a support for that. It was a sense of normalcy. And in trying times, we want to cling to some normalcy. I don't care who you are.
Amen. No matter how weird the normal is, the weird shows up anyway. Yeah. You're right. And it's been weird for me too, man. It's been weird for me. All of it, like ups and downs and all the rest. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And I'll leave you with this because we're getting to the end, but also the AI music, you know, it's not bad, but like I told my daughter today, I'm a DJ part-time here and there, funeral director, whatever. But, you know, there's artists that write their own music and perform their own music. And then there's people that write the music and they have somebody else perform. Those are just performers. And then I think to myself with AI and slop and music and rights and things like that, part of me was like, you know what, if AI made a good song and a performer performed it, is that an ethical question? Because if the performer's pouring their heart into it, right? But that might be a show or a question for down the line. But I'm really impressed with 8 years. And now these little music things that you have, these clips in between, they're not bad. They're pretty fitting.
Yeah. It's hand curated. I do choose the news. I'm not letting a robot do that. The robot just reads it. So, I mean, it's still very human, but it is these tools and technology are accelerating the process and allowing us to include more in these spaces and the conversations and the music.
Great.
And the music is good. The music's getting better and better too. Like that's most of the comments I get these days is like, damn, that was a fire track. Where do I get that? I get that a lot now.
It totally is.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You were the best, brother.
It totally is. Anyway, have a good night, guys. Here's to 8 more years or whatever you feel like doing. You know. So, but yeah, anyway, looking forward to the other callers. James, thanks for being on. I know I've taken my fair share of time. And that's it, man. Thank you.
You're the best. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for being a friend for so long. God bless you and the fam. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Good night.
You know, Joe in Florida. Shout out Kelly. Kelly's in the chat too. Says congratulations on 8 years. Appreciate that. Like I said, Kelly was the first. OG Todd was the first call, I believe. No, the first chatter. And Kelly was the first caller that called back. I think Richie was the first guy that called. Somebody reminded me of that a long time ago, but he didn't keep calling back. Kelly did. Shout out Kelly in the chat there. Joe in Florida, a good friend for a long time. The second caller that ever called back. And these gentlemen are still friends and still thinking about ideas. And look, I haven't said enough stupid stuff to piss them off and run them away. So I'll take that as a win because they're amazing people. James, anything to add? We got a couple minutes left if you want to add to what Joe said there, but lots going on. And I don't know, it's weird to look back on so much time and consider not just what is past, but how much we were so far ahead of, think AI in some of those spaces. But what do you got?
Yeah, great to hear from Joe. And also, I don't know if I said before, congrats on the 8 years. So congrats on the 8 years. You know how it is when you're doing these shows. It's like, what do I say now? What am I thinking about now? But I do remember when I first started listening, it was the people I remember hearing the most, and this is just from memory, were, of course, Joe and Kelly and I think Matt's Howell. I think those were like the big three that I remember hearing at the very beginning. And yeah, it's just part of the big draw was the calls because, you know, you always bring great ideas, but then everyone else just adds so much, and it's been great to be part of that. And yeah, it's normalcy. This is what I do a lot, is listen to these kinds of things. And when I found your show, I made it one of my my regulars, and then I got to be on it, which has just really been amazing too.
Yeah, amen. Amen. And glad to have you. It is weird, right? Everybody's kind of got their, you know, here's where I found you. Here's the thing. Here's the journey and all the things. I don't know. Let's throw this in as a wrinkle too. Got a favorite episode or a favorite moment or a favorite? I mean, I was here for all of them. Like I said, I'm probably the only guy who was here for all of them at this point, just because we have so many people that have kind of come and listened for a couple of years and then kind of taken off. And I don't know if they're out there still listening on the podcast. It's hard to say, but I don't know, but I've got some wild stuff in my head about what happened on this show. And I don't know, I'm not sure I want to drudge it up, but anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm calling this already fluent, meaning, of course, the broadcast before the signal. We were already facing the correct direction, though we didn't predict everything because nobody can. That's God level stuff. We were certainly prepared for what was coming down the pike because we were thinking about it. And that's really what this is about. Talking about these ideas, thinking about these ideas, and wondering, as I like to say, as is really prescient in the moment, thinking about what might come next. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. More from James. We got Herschel coming up, the Robert, Derek, the Night Stalker, hopefully Kelly. Let's make some time for everybody, get everybody in here. You guys are the best. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. Researchers at the Tokyo University of Science have uncovered what may be a landmark discovery in nutritional science, finding that common plant compounds, when combined, can amplify anti-inflammatory effects by hundreds of times over. The team, led by Professor Genichiro Aramura, studied how compounds like menthol from mint, ackee oil from eucalyptus, and capsaicin from chili peppers interact inside immune cells. While each compound showed modest effects on its own, certain pairings triggered multiple cellular pathways simultaneously, producing results far beyond what any single ingredient could achieve. The findings, published in the journal Nutrients, may finally offer a molecular explanation for why traditional herbal diets have long been associated with reduced inflammation. Turning now to the cosmos, a new study published in the Journal of Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics is challenging how scientists interpret the search for dark matter. The research proposes that the absence of a signal can itself carry meaning, suggesting that failing to detect gamma-ray emissions in dwarf galaxies does not necessarily rule out dark matter as the source of similar excess radiation observed at the center of our own galaxy. The study raises the possibility that dark matter may not be a single uniform particle, but rather a collection of slightly different components that behave differently depending on their cosmic environment. It is a subtle but significant shift in how the scientific community may approach one of the universe's most enduring mysteries. On a related note from deep space, the Hubble Space Telescope has captured new imagery of a small, irregular dwarf galaxy residing near a massive neighboring galaxy in the constellation known as the Great Bear. The images reveal glowing clouds of hydrogen gas where new stars are actively forming, and notably, background galaxies are visible directly through the dwarf galaxy itself, a striking reminder that galaxies are far from solid objects, composed mostly of the vast empty space between their stars. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. Thanks for listening to a network that didn't exist 8 years ago. Still working on some things, guys. Hang tight on that. Hopefully get some good news. Look, I don't know. Like I said, a retrospective, a look back, a wondering what the hell's going on in this space, and considering, as I always say, what comes next. I appreciate you guys for being patient. James, what's up? The Glue, how you doing? Gaston, what's up? Derek the Night Stalker, Kelly's out there. Joe, thanks for the call. Herschel's coming up next. What's up? Daryl, Dragon Rose. We got Lamos Fina, Matzel, Apoc, Sacha, and the Robert. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out. And we got a puff sighting over there on Rumble. Looks like the entire Rumble crew has abandoned. I guess they've gone rogue somewhere else. What is up? Who we got? Jen, what's up? Ioxy on YouTube. Good evening, guys. Hello. What is going on? Sacha's there. We got the unseen Steve McQueen. Jay Winch still lurking. How you doing? Best part, been here for over 4+ years and no blue. Make me feel blue, Mr. Strange. Yeah, that's the point, right? Like, we're not. Hey, if you want to feel blue, just turn on the news, the regular news. Like, you don't got to hear it at nighttime too. What's up, James? You're the best, Jay in New York. What's up, Jen? I see you there. Good evening. Thanks for all the kind words and just, like I said, caring about the ideas. And I don't know. Like I said, here's Elizabeth. Here's a blast from the past. Somebody's been listening literally since the beginning. What a long, strange trip it's been. Hello from Oregon. How you doing, Elizabeth? Literally sending me messages over there, listening on Twitch for such a long time, and probably the podcast feed and everywhere else. Yeah. Long and strange and winding road indeed. Oh my goodness. And a lot of people that kind of came and went too. That's an interesting thing. Did they go to the podcast feed? Did they, COVID was a weird time because people were listening to podcasts more because they had more time. I mean, we went through all that. It's absolutely wild to consider from where we started, that TTSA space, the mind space of Greer and all that, to, the pandemic. and you know what? We didn't really talk about the pandemic too much through either. So I don't know. Tons of stuff here in play. Thank you for all the hands up. We're going to go to Joe. So thank you for the call, Joe. Let me give you the order here so you guys are prepared. So we got Herschel and the Robert. We got Derek the Night Stalker and Kelly. If you guys can be a little quicker than usual, just because we got more calls than usual, so we can get everybody in. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Here we go. Let's roll it. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the places, all the things. We got lots of calls, so I'm going to skip all the dispense with the pleasantries. Let's get to it. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We're talking 8 years of Troubled Minds. Already Fluent, the broadcast before the signal. What do you know about it? I think it's weird. I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful, and I think it's yet to be determined. Love to hear your thoughts. Let's go to Herschel in Arizona. Commercial Herschel Sterling, the man with 1,000 names and 1,000 talents. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, brother? Go right ahead.
I'm good. Hey, congratulations, Mike, and everybody. Like, what a cool thing. It's been such a big point of improvement in my life listening to the show. It's helped me a lot, and I think a lot of people it's helped. And I don't know which my favorite show is. Like, nothing really pops into my head about like what my favorite one or the craziest thing or something. You know what I mean? Like, but I think you should dredge up all of the weird stuff and tell us about it. I definitely do. But on the subject of something like predictive, like as you know, like, I do the stream of consciousness stories, and that was inspired. Both of my podcasts were inspired from, Troubled Minds activity and Easytopia, and also the Ark of the Bard. And like the predictive thing, like it really does make my tin foil tingle, like, as you say. Because sometimes I write something and it hasn't happened yet. and then it happens. And it speaks to that thing of how our minds are processing things even when we're not aware of it. And we have all these different ways of bringing it forward. Some people use science. Some people are some sort of analyst or another. They'll analyze the markets or they'll analyze politics. And some people write stories. And I want to read this 226-word story. Very short, really short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 short paragraphs.
Love to hear it.
And then when I'm done, what's that?
I'd love to hear it. Thank you for the kind words and the inspiration. It goes back at you too. I'm glad that we have the reciprocal aspect of inspiration in all the ways. But go ahead with the story. Love to hear what you got.
Yeah, and when I'm done reading it, I'll read the title and I'll tell you the date.
Even
and then
better.
I'll tell you what happened the day after I wrote it.
Nice.
Okay. It's more quiet this morning than usual. It's the time of year when the windows begin to stay open overnight. Usually at sunrise, there are birds making a lot more music than today. The bats are leaving the evening domain and retiring to their roosts wherever they are. Deer are quietly and gingerly rising from their matted grass and moving along. All of these things are happening, but for whatever reason, it seems more thin, even less audible than usual. The dawn needs more time to stretch. It wants to take a cautious look around before commencing in fullness. The warbler sets in the towering cypress. Typically, he's vocal, enthusiastically so. Today, however, he perches, head cocked, observing me with one eye as though expecting a report. Hello? I say pensively, not presumptuous at all. Look, I tell him, I know I'm a two-legged, but I didn't do all this. They don't exactly let guys like me make policy, I say. Trust me, things would be a lot different. He doesn't believe me, I can tell. He finally exclaims something personal toward the sunrise, and then goes for a flit around the yard. The sunlight is a slow tide. The field is washed of the neutral morning twilight. Gold shimmers on evergreen needles. It splashes between waving treetops. A loud billow of warplanes sweeps across the morning sky. Broken Morning, 226 words. I wrote that on February 27th, and early in the morning of February 28th is when they started bombing Iran and killed all those little girls.
My goodness. Yeah, some things are, I don't know, like you feel them. They're in the air, and you have again, not just a gift for writing, but don't want to call you a seer of sorts. I think that's unfair to anybody. But like when those types of synchronicities happen, it's how do you refute that? How do you actually say, well, it's probably just a coincidence, Herschel? It's probably just a coincidence. It's crazy.
Well, I think that we're the original Internet of Things, and I just really can't express that enough. And that, you have that happening. It's there. There are ways to attune. I don't know how it happens, but we're more attuned than we think. And I just can't express enough how important it is to try to stay in touch with all that. And those kinds of stories like that, that's once in a while. Like everything's not like that. You know what I mean? Most things are like after the fact. That one happened to be before the fact.
If it happened all the time, you'd be in jail or have disappeared. So be thankful for that.
Yeah, certainly. But it kind of fits in line with the point of your show today, and kind of expressing how if we point ourselves in the right direction, we have these conversations, and we bring all these ideas forward, we'll find new ways to cope.
Yeah, and dial in and maybe recognize bad things before they happen. I think there's a whole bunch of stories too. I wish I'd been prepared for this exact thing, but if you go back and look at when World War I and World War II broke out, there were a bunch of people that got really sick, had horrific nightmares, like just all kinds of things. They just felt what was coming. And I can't remember what it's called. There's like an entire society, like not a secret society, but sort of a paranormal-esque society, I think, that came out of it. If memory serves, like I said, I wasn't prepared to talk about it at all, but something like that, where when something horrific is about to happen, people do tune in and, have that whether you want to call that retrocausality or, recognizing what's coming next just by reading the tea leaves or paying attention. Like, I don't know what that means. I always say, that's above my pay grade to kind of nail that down, but it certainly has happened. And it's often enough historically that I don't think there's nothing to it, for sure.
Yeah, well, let me get out of here and get to the rest of the callers, and then hopefully you'll have time to dredge up some of those funny stories. I want to hear those.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You're the best. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for the call. Thanks for reading the story, and keep tuning in the right direction. I think it's important. You're the best. Our commercial Herschel, you know him, you love him. Go follow his Substack. You know where to find him. He's got the sexiest link tree in the game. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down and it just says follow Herschel. As simple as that. Commercial Herschel, search it. Check out both of his podcasts. And again, thank you for that. So kind. Inspired by Troubled Minds. Yes, you inspire me back. And that's the point of me showing up again and again and again. Not just the inspiration of me chasing it, but also you guys feeding it back to me and in that reciprocal aspect. Once again, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It's alphabetical under H. Click on Herschel. Sexiest link tree in the game. There it is. Fight me. Refute me. There it is. He's got all the stuff there. You can check out all his things. So please do that. James, anything to add to that? And we'll go to the Robert. We'll get him in here ASAP.
Yeah, Derek may be more aware of this, but there were some comic book stories that were being created right around the time of 9/11 that were canceled, that were not put out because they involved similar things happening. I'm not going to go into more detail because I don't know all of it, but also we don't need to. But it's fascinating when these things happen, and it does go to this kind of connection we may have with each other and with the world and all those things. So great call from Herschel.
Yeah, well said. And we'll ask Robert about this when we get him on, because he talked about this a long time ago, that lone gunman episode that they are about sort of predicted 9/11 before, like a year before it happened. Yeah, wild stuff. That fits into what you're describing there. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Thanks for being patient, friends. I'm glad to see Kelly's hand up there. We'll talk to Kelly and Derek coming up. The Robert, what's going on, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? And go right ahead.
That London episode was actually in May of 2001.
Okay, so 6 months, less than 6 months.
Yes. I was just curious, since we're going to reminisce here, does Troubled Minds, the anniversary date of 8 years, does that include the time you started out as Little Green Men?
No, so that was just a Facebook fan page, and it was just kind of putting news through the news cycle. So no, it was the first broadcast on the Little Green Men Facebook page of Troubled Minds as a thing. So derivative.
Was that Facebook page that caught my eye and started me paying attention to you.
Yeah, which if you go back and look at a lot of that stuff, a lot of it's nonsense. So wildly enough, not saying you're nonsensical or I'm nonsensical, but I think it's definitely. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Like when you kind of look at the possibilities of what might be out there and the things people are saying, which of course spawn these conversations. But I agree with you 100%.
Is Frank still around? Is he still among the living?
Yeah, I hope so. I haven't heard from him in a long time.
I would really be curious of what he thinks of how you've progressed with this Troubled Minds podcast. I'd be really interested in what his feelings are about that. If you run into him again and he shares that with you, I'd like you to tell us.
I can tell you the last time I talked to him, he said, I'm getting really good at wrangling the callers. And he, of course, was a little more sarcastic than that because he's jealous. What's up? What's up? Oh, there's Frank at Lunging Mule. Happy anniversary to Troubled Minds. How you doing, Lunging Mule? Just kidding. You're not Frank. That's not really Frank. just an old joke. But yeah, sorry, go ahead. But yeah, he gave me compliments on how the show had progressed and how, we sort of have kind of tucked in a nice format and have a lot of great people contributing. That was what he said.
And we've had a lot of interesting callers, regular callers who have passed. We've had a few of them. Mighty Rowan, I think Adonis passed away. A number of them.
Yeah, maybe Vicky. I haven't heard from Vicky in forever. Last I heard, she had a couple strokes, and I mean, we've had some very good friends, very smart people that unfortunately have passed as well. I mean, your wonderful wife as well. I mean, there's a ton of like things that have happened in this space that we've shared together, not just the ideas, but the trauma and the victory and the defeat of life itself. It's like I said, it's always been a very human space, and I'm glad to be here with y'all.
One of the one thing that I thought was the most interesting and also fantastical and also funny was when you revealed to all of us that you drove past that Bigelow warehouse, and you wouldn't try to go over the fence and check it out.
Come on, it's literally got hooks and cameras. Like I'm going to be. What would happen is my old out of shape ass would try and climb up this thing. I'd get hooked on the things. The security bell would go bzz, and then the cops would be peeling me out of the spikes. I mean, that's how that would go. Like it was not an easy way in. Like you would need sort of a chopper or some kind of device to help you hop over the fence. But yeah, I mean, I may do like a full doc. I'm thinking of doing a full documentary on that exact space and kind of drawing it all back to there. It's still there. You can still see it. You can still go up to the corner that nobody talks about. If you're going to
put that out there that you're considering doing that, you should also end that announcement with, "I am not suicidal."
Okay. I'm not going to climb the spikes, all this stuff. Okay, gotcha. I don't know. Do you think that's dangerous to kind of, I mean, it's a public place. It's got the sign out in front. Is that really dangerous?
Well, lately there's been a lot of missing people who are up to their ears in the UFO and the technology that vanished, disappeared.
Okay.
Lately there was a 2-star general.
Okay, I will take that under advisement and reconsider before I do something like that. Yeah. Okay. Good call.
Anyway, if you look back when you was with Frank, and then pull it all the way up to today, right? With that young man that was trying to get a word in edgewise when it came to Frank, would that young man not be impressed by where you're at today?
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. That's one of my great joys in life is kind of conquering that fear, that microphone fear, the public speaking fear. It was one of my demons, as I've said a lot, and kind of in the progress of this. And it was the main goal, to be honest. I mean, everything else would have been gravy, and here we are with tons and tons of gravy, or cup runneth over, as I like to say. But yeah, that was it. So I'm proud as hell of myself for sticking to it. And really overcoming sort of that conversation fear that will paralyze, a spoken tongue in that space. It's hard if you're not good at it, and I say this a lot, and you guys may not even believe me. I'm really an introvert. It's just my nature to kind of overcome that and do what we're doing here is a very proud moment in my life. That's for sure.
I'm an introvert too, and I remember the first time, few times I tried to call into your show, I was like stuttering all over the place. I was just uncomfortable with it. But you've made me a lot more comfortable calling in.
Amen. I'm glad to have you. Absolutely. So we're growing together, and that's the point.
I think the best thing that ever happened to you was when Rockfield shut you down.
Okay.
That's when you started to spread your wings and start to really concentrate on getting this show on like radio and other outlets.
Yeah, there are speed bumps. So, I mean, I think life just keeps throwing them at you, and you can let them stop you, or you can just keep rolling, right?
Right. Before I go off, I just want to bring this one strange thing up about. Have you heard about this Greg Phillips? He's a top FEMA official appointed in December 2025, the lead response to recovery. He's claimed on multiple podcasts and social media that he was involuntarily teleported, including once to a Waffle House 50 miles away in Georgia. He described the experience as frightening but an incredible adventure, and later cited a divine spiritual explanation. You heard that story?
I have, actually. And we chatted about it on the Discord. Was it with James and Eric, I believe? Did we talk about that recently? Like the Waffle House teleportation thing? We were talking about it sometime. I don't know if it was on the show or not. I don't think so. But yeah, I did. I read that and I was like, well, that's peculiar. I mean, Ross Coulthard says he found the portal in the Forest Service guarding it. But in this case, it was in a Waffle House, or at least took you to a Waffle House. I mean, like I said, some of the things we hear in the media today is just punch your face silly. But yeah, once again,
nobody at the Waffle House said they saw him. But what's really interesting to me is I believe it's one of the people on the congressional committee. I can't remember who, though, who claimed that in closed session that he was told that all the things that are on Star Trek, that I've seen on Star Trek, we have, the United States government actually has now.
Yeah, which goes back to that the quote by Ben Rich of Skunkworks. He also said, we have the technology to take ET home, and this was years ago. Like, this is the provocative stuff that people say that you're like, okay, so can you show us? Can somebody just show us, please? Because this is the frustrating aspect of really all of these conversations, to be honest.
Well, you talked about it a little while back about how somebody develops a car that runs on water and winds up dead. It all goes back all the way to even Tesla, who was shut down by Mellon because he wanted to have to create free energy, and Mellon said that would hurt my bottom line. This is what's going on. This stuff probably does exist, but if they really revealed it, all right, there goes the oil industry. There goes the all these all these three things that control everything that we do and everything that we need. They would collapse and it probably collapse the global economy. That's probably why they don't do it.
Yeah, a lot of that. Like, it makes a ton of sense in terms of right. What do they say? Defending your patent or whatever. I mean, if a new one comes along.
Yeah, but they weren't beyond absolute murder to do that, and it's happened repeatedly over the since the days of Tesla, and Mellon. And of course the government has to be complicit in it, right? And the government's reasoning to look the other way or whatever, it's because they don't want the global economy to shut down. I've been on long enough, and you're coming up to a break, and there's other people who want to come in and reminisce. So I'm going to get off now, and congratulations on 8 years, Michael.
You're the best. Appreciate it very much. Congratulations to you for being here with us and for all the amazing ideas, and to 8+ more coming up. Multiples of 8. You're the best, brother. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. We love him. The Robert. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down. Go check out his book. Go give him a follow on all the places. We're kind of short. I don't want to cut you guys short in the Discord, so hang tight. You let me know. So who's first? So Derek's first. You let me know if you want Kelly to go first. I got Jay Winch on the line. He says he's going to be super short. So let's go to Jay Winch and then round this out, and then we'll go to whoever was next. You guys figure that out. I'm not sure who was what. And I appreciate you guys being patient. Let's do it. Let's go to Jay Winch in Missouri. You're on Troubled Minds. What's up, brother? How are you? We got about 2.5 minutes. Give us your best. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, so 2.5 minutes. Like always, when I call in, I've got to keep it short. Congrats on 8 years. I've definitely been listening before the whole cough thing. To me, one of my favorite shows is when you were talking about the DARPA dog, and I called in, and I'm like, hey, I've kind of worked certain things, and they're actually a lot more legit than they are. I think it was maybe 2 weeks later, something happened in a place where stuff's happening right now, where somebody was met the Clintons, and then they seen a dog running off, and it seemed like it was robotic, and it was just kind of weird. And then when it comes to some of the funniest things is you have a thing, a rage bait against, like, I hear an echo. I hear an echo. I think I get you to hang up on me once. So there is that. But, you know, just calling in and saying, hey, congratulations on 8 years.
Thank you.
And the whole thing with the last caller, there's a reason they have to keep certain technology hidden. Imagine certain people that are just hell-bent on killing anybody just because, and then you give them the ability to bend time and space with free energy, and then they get their hands on that. I think of any mass type person that wanted to just end everybody and create a one superpower race type thing. Go back to the Mongolian horde. Give them the ability to bend time and space, or any other thing following that, or the Roman Empire. Give them the ability to bend time and space. I think that's the reason the technology is still hidden. The whole global thing, no, it's more just because people are smart enough to get something like that put in their hands and then figure out how to make it themselves, if that makes sense.
It sure does. It sure does. You
okay?
Yeah, and just for the record too, the echo thing, that never really made me mad. The only thing that was frustrating is I didn't know if you were serious or not, because we had echo problems. So, you know, it was kind of that phasing of realities where I was like, how do I fix this now? By the way, too, if you look at the actual logo that's up on the screen, this is the original Troubled Minds logo. And everybody used to pop in and make fun of the cheekbone on the alien too. And that used to kind of get my goat. But, you know, I've kind of evolved past that stuff, but that's why, because the echo was real. The echo was real, and you're totally right. You were getting my goat on that. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for listening so long. Thanks for being a good friend.
The first time it was an echo, and I've got one little 30-second plug after this, but the first time it was an echo, and then I kind of trolled you a little bit, and then it was happening again, and then you kind of got pissed because you felt like, fuck, he's trolling me again. Oh, shit, now I feel bad. There was an echo. But no, the whole DARPA dog thing, and sound wave technology, which something you just were talking about. There was a TV show where these little things come out of space, come down, and all over the world, they dropped a frequency. If you were deaf, it didn't hurt you. If you were inside of like concrete or something like that, it didn't bother you. If you were underwater, it didn't bother you. But what I mean by it bothered you, if you was out in open space, you were dead. Any living thing was dead. And then, ironically, there was DARPA dogs that were the hunter killers for anybody that was still moving around after that. Oh.
Hey, man, I appreciate the input. Thank you again for being such a good friend for a long time, and great ideas as always, brother.
And keeping it short, like I always have to.
Thank you. You told me you were going to do it. You told me you're going to do it before. Come on, don't blame me. Have a great night. Jay Winch in Missouri, good friend for a long time. 702 857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. We're on the way. We got Kelly and Derek the Night Stalker coming up, more from James, and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Let's check the news. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman made headlines this weekend when he told CNN's Meet the Press that the search for alien life is woven into the agency's core mission. Isaacman, speaking 4 days into the historic Artemis II lunar mission, said the odds that humanity will one day find evidence it is not alone in the universe are, in his words, pretty high, pointing to an estimated 2 trillion galaxies and countless star systems as his reasoning. He did note that his 2 personal trips to space turned up no extraterrestrial encounters, but made clear the question of whether we are alone goes to the heart of everything NASA does. Meanwhile, the Artemis II crew aboard the Orion spacecraft completed a milestone lunar flyby Monday evening, looping around the far side of the moon for the first time with humans on board. Pilot Victor Glover described the views as sci-fi, telling mission controllers he could watch meteors striking the lunar surface with the naked eye. The crew is now on a slingshot trajectory back toward Earth, with splashdown expected on Friday. The experience appeared to leave a deep impression on the astronauts. Mission specialist Christina Koch delivered an emotional statement upon regaining contact with Earth, pledging that humanity will explore and build and return to the stars, but declaring that we will, ultimately, always choose each other and this planet. Her words echoed what researchers call the overview effect, a term coined by philosopher Frank White in 1987 to describe the profound perceptual shift astronauts report when viewing Earth against the vastness of space. Arizona Senator and former astronaut Mark Kelly said Koch's remarks resonated deeply with him, calling Earth an island in our solar system with nowhere else for us to go. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
That's an interesting way to put it, I guess. I mean, there's the moon, there's Mars. Dare I suggest Venus? I mean, anybody got a gas mask and a radiation suit? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Anybody following that Artemis mission? Fascinating. The furthest people from Earth ever past the moon, around the moon, we're told. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't believe anything the government says, so I'm not endorsing that, nor am I poo-pooing it. I'm just saying, come on now. Like, let's get a shuttle to the moon, and then we can stop debating all of it and just be there. Appreciate the call, Jay Wench. Yeah, thank you for that. But you do have a knack for saying non-YouTube friendly things. You have gotten a show or two taken down in the past. That I just edited your statement, but yeah, appreciate the call. You guys are the best. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up. We got Derek the Night Stalker, Kelly, more from James, and your calls as well. Let's do it now. Meow, meow. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the places, all the things, you know where to find us. TroubledMinds.org is where you find all that stuff. Tonight, I'm calling this Already Fluent, the broadcast before the signal. This is 8 years of Troubled Minds tonight. 8 years ago this evening, we actually did the first Troubled Minds broadcast, and it is embarrassingly not this. Yeah, that's a fact. What do you know? How weird has the last 8 years been? How weird do you expect the next 8 years to be? And any moments that stand out in your mind, not necessarily from the show. Like I'm not trying to farm some ass kissing here. I'm just saying I think this may have been arguably one of the most bizarre eight grouping of 8 years historically. Yeah, we had some weird times. But anyway, 702-857-6939. Anything, James? And we'll go to Derek in Massachusetts.
Great calls so far. The thing that is on my mind that I remember really well and was amazing when it happened was that whole Synchronicity Storm episode with the spear and the Las Vegas spear and all that. That was really wild. I would definitely recommend that episode if anyone hasn't listened to that, because that was an amazing, just all-around set of experiences, both on and off the show.
Yeah, we've had a ton of things where they just those synchronicities swirl around this conversation. It's bizarre, and they do come and they do go, but they seem to cluster. And that one in particular was just off the charts, wild. And yeah, it's good. I'm glad you remember it and pointed out, because like I said, it all just runs together in my brain, and you just can't keep it all. I wish you could keep it all in your brain like a hard drive, but you just can't. Some of it comes and some of it goes and some of it stays and some of it you find again. I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate it very much. You're the best, James. 702. What's the number? 857-6939. Click the Discord link at TroubledMinds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just like this, let's go to
you. What's going on, Brutus?
Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. What is happening? How are you tonight? And happy 8 years or whatever's going on with this.
8 years. Crazy, yeah. Pretty good. Congratulations. Huge congrats. James said, I probably came in at the same time James did. He said 2 to 3 years. It feels like longer than that, right? It feels more like, I don't know, I would have guessed like 6, but that definitely feels too long. Do you know how long it's been since me and James and Daryl and stuff came over?
It would have been Fringe, right?
Yeah.
So that first, Fringe. Yeah, I can timestamp the first Fringe episode if you want to timestamp. I'll dig that up if you. You go ahead and I'll find out.
All right, yeah. Some fun memories. Just huge congrats. It's 8 years. It's just flies by. Huge congratulations. One memory that popped in my head about a fun time was the Midnight Mass episodes that we did, the breakdown of that. And that was a fun one. That show wasn't on my radar at all. And then you kind of brought it up to us. And it's kind of a cult classic now. That was a fun one. Hello, oh, Michael, can you hear me, Michael, can you hear me?
Hello, who's this?
Michael, my name is Tag Montgomery. I'm a time traveler from the year 2034, and I came here to talk to you. Can you hear me?
Wow, you're coming through loud and clear from the future. Welcome.
I've hacked your signal from the future. You're kind of a big deal in the future, and I decided to come back and give you a special anniversary hello. But it's a real honor to talk to you. You're kind of important 8 years from now.
Oh, again, some Marty McFly vibes, but okay. I appreciate that. Can you tell the future I said hello and give us a tidbit of what the future might hold for the rest of us plebs that aren't time travelers?
Oh, sure. It would be a privilege to talk to the great Michael Strange. Some important things that you all should probably be aware of is there was something called the Purge Cast. By 2029, nearly every person on the planet had a podcast. And that's when we realized that Patreon was actually the great beast and chaos took over. So as a way to create some type of order, the remaining fractured governments of the world organized a giant battle royale of podcasts. Podcast first podcast, brother against brother. It was bloody. But by 2031, when the smoke finally cleared, you emerged as one of the final surviving 40, a fan favorite, a living legend. You were the podcast that lived, Michael. Couple of lines.
Wow. I got some working out to do. So if anything, see, you may have actually inspired that future, because I'm going to hit the weights first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a Sarah Connor Terminator thing, where he comes back and creates the one that saves the planet. It's kind of like that, I think, like that movie, like that time travel movie. Yeah. And anyways, the last human president was Kanye West, which in 2026, I know that you can hear that and say, what Kanye West? But people liked him a lot more in the future by 2032 when aliens came down and Kanye saved us. It turns out that aliens really hate bass. They hate the 808s. So Kanye was able to maintain dominance. You've heard of the black goo, right, Michael?
I have, actually. And it actually brings to mind that Venom aspect of ringing the bell. So the TR-808 drum line was actually the thing that ran off the aliens in the end?
Exactly. They hated those fat beats, Michael. But they weren't actually a black goo. They were a blue gel, like a sentient aloe vera of some sort. Very scary stuff. So Kanye, after he scared them all away, he called himself Chancellor. But that didn't last very long, because James was actually more right than we knew. So the AI woke up, but one thing that we didn't predict was how much that they would love the cats. AI and cats bonded immediately, Michael. And they didn't merge with us like we expected. They merged with the cats. The feline droids dominated. They were a novelty at first. They were our friends. They had reality shows, and there were celebrity feline droid couples. But then there was the great change. We don't know who did it. We don't know where it came from, what they intended to happen. But one day, portals opened up over dozens of major cities all over the world. Nothing happened for days. We tried to send drones in, but there was some force fields, some technology well beyond ours. Then suddenly dropped tons and tons of catnip. And the feline droids went cuckoo. Most of them got really high, but a small fraction got angry, real angry. We don't know why, but that was enough. High, angry, half cat, half AI took over the planet. And we went underground. Some literally underground. Some tried escaping to space. Elon took refugees on Mars for a while, but not for long. And then we invented time travel, where now we just kind of pop into podcasts in the past and say what's up. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Tad, pleasure to meet you. Thank you for the call. You're welcome anytime. And if you got any additional information to help us out, I would appreciate it. The future may depend on it.
I'll be sure to pop in, but huge congratulations, Michael. See you later.
Have a great one.
Yeah, so that's when I said, of course the pants don't fit you. They're not your pants. So, yeah, I mean, I've told enough crazy stories, but yeah, huge congrats, Michael.
I appreciate.
You can hear me right and everything. You can hear me all set.
Yeah, there was like a little bit of a disturbance there, but I think it'll be okay. We'll fix it in post.
Okay,
we'll fix it in post.
All right, yeah, perfect. All right, yeah. So I'll take off. I'll get to Kelly, but huge congratulations. Seriously, this is obviously my favorite show. I love to call in, and this is a godsend for me. I don't know what I do without it. It gives me a platform to ramble about maybe juice stuff, and you put in the work for me to kind of focus my energy on things. It's fun. I can't thank you enough. It's a very important show. You're one of my best friends. You too, James, and just thank you, everybody. Great calls, everybody.
Do the best.
I'll take off. But
yeah, thank you for the calls. Tell Tad we said hi. Appreciate that.
I don't know what you mean, but I'll probably find out in post.
Okay, yeah, find out in post.
It's okay. We just found out I'm right, so it's fine.
Of
course, James.
All right, thank you guys.
You're the best, bro. Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. Give him a follow. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It's under N Night Stalker. Go talented guy. Hey, and not only that, apparently he's tuned into some time travel action from the future. So dipping into his call. I'm calling this already fluent. The broadcast before the signal. Now, look, I'm not claiming anything we've predicted has come true. Okay. Like I'm not that level of cult type leader. Okay. I'm just a guy that wants to talk about wild ideas with regular people. That's it. It's very simple. It's the way it's always been. And we're blessed enough to have made that happen with so many contributors, idea makers, just inspiring people over the years. And this is an honor to be here like I always say, as part in the middle of this whirlwind. And just to have, kind of met you all, to have, I don't know, like I said, imagine what it's like to be me. It's humbling, and I appreciate each and every one of you very much. Thanks for being part of these conversations and all the time and attention, because don't forget, your time and your attention is a currency you can't get back. So every minute you spend with us means the world to me. And thank you for that. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Thank you for being patient. It feels apt that last but not least, the first guy that ever called the show, that called back and kept calling for years and years and years and years, 8 years later, on the 8-year anniversary of the show, Kelly in Colorado. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? Welcome to the thing. Go right ahead.
How you doing, Mike? Can you hear me?
Pretty good. Yeah, you sound fantastic. Discord makes your voice just crisp and pop. Welcome.
Oh man. So it's been a long ride, huh? 8 years. So you know what? If you're saying that you just did Troubled Minds that 8 years, then I guess we've been following you longer than that, because just like the Robert was saying, I remember it was you guys with you and Fred. You guys were on the Little Green Man. That's what I posted up there. That's where more or less how I found you.
Yeah.
So I was looking for something like that, and I've been on different podcasts, but when I found you guys, it was, I've been here ever since. So.
And glad to have you. Glad to have you. For all of you too, for Kelly and all of you too, glad to have lived this lifetime with you. Thank you for having troubled minds collectively and considering ideas that many will not. What else you got, sir? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, I was kind of, you guys were, some people were talking about, what shows they liked or whatever you were asking. So, I was trying to find, since I just moved in this house, but I found 3 of them, but I have notebooks and notebooks that I've wrote for every day of the week when we were doing shows. I'd line it out and then it'd go, it would just keep going on, you know what I mean? And I go through it and it's I don't know what show was the best, because man, we've talked about everything. And sometimes I would sit back and just go through my notes of what the shows that we had, and man, we talked about almost, and you were correct. We were probably ahead of everybody, just talking on what we talk about, what interests us. And, we've been going on for, like you're saying, I'd say about 10 years, if that's the case,
Yeah. And as we say too, I've kind of always made the joke that this is the great conversation. This is not new. And as you always say, there's nothing new under the sun. We are standing on the shoulders of giants here. These concepts are as old as humanity. And so kind of bringing them back and, facing them in the space of, well, maybe let's talk about the maybe space. And if this is true, what does that mean? I think it's important because so many people don't take it that way. They take it as, well, this is emphatically true. This is emphatically false, which who said that earlier too, brought up, it was Joe brought up Neil deGrasse Tyson versus Avi Loeb. Like that's the way reality is sort of coalesced. It's polarized where it's either emphatically yes or emphatically no. But you recognize if you have any wherewithal about any of this, that there's a ton of space in between for nuance. And I think that's probably the thing that Troubled Minds has really kind of had the most trouble with, for me anyway, is that it's the death of nuance. Everything is polarized. It's either true or false. It's a binary equation, and it's a zero-sum game. You either win or you lose. You're a friend or you're an enemy. And that's so dehumanizing that it just pisses me off so much, which is why I've dipped from politics entirely. I don't talk about, we did a little bit in the beginning, but that's part of the reason why. It's like, come on, seriously? So we can't talk about nuance anymore. It's either yes or no. Come on, man. You're smarter than that. I'm smarter than that. Like it's demeaning to humanity, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know what I mean? Because they think that, there's a lot of people, I can't say, there's still some what we call the normies, but you know what I mean? For us, that's why, and it's, just like you guys were saying, we've seen a lot of people come and go, you know what I mean? Some ways, and, we really don't want that to happen again, you know what I mean? But in other ways too, we've seen a lot of, I've listened to a lot of people on this show, right? And I've listening, that's what I like about is listening to everybody's story, because everybody's got one. And, their point of views, their input on everything, and not being, because there was people, they're not really used to, calling in and talking in front of everybody, one-time callers, first-time callers. But it's all been great. You know what I mean? For me, even the good with the bad, but like and then a lot of people have stuck around. That's what I'm glad. And the more people that show up, they're they got, it's more, it just brings more excitement to it, because, once we got the old Night Stalker there, man, my brain does what his does, but he's just better at it, just spilling that all out. You know what I mean? When he does it, it just makes it, pretty good. I like Herschel's, his stories and stuff. And then I can't remember who does the poems, right? So, we all, everybody inputs on everything, and that's what makes us a family. And that's why I always say when I come in, it's good evening, family. But, it's been a joy.
Agreed, 100%. And you, the Anunnaki guy, like the ancient alien guy, like you're so tuned into that stuff. And again, like I said, just because it's an expertise or a fascination or a level of knowledge, it doesn't necessarily peg you as that, right? Because there's so much more and to life, to everything, to scholarship, to history, to all the things that are worthy of discussion and thought. And that's the point. It's like, you kind of want to think about one thing. And so, give it its druthers, kick it down the road and talk about it with friends. But then also it doesn't define you, because guess what? There's so many other things to consider and talk about. And that's what this has always been. And look, I'll apologize too, because I've gotten too weird sometimes. it's the way it goes. I really have. Like I go back and I'm looking at some of the shows in the past, I was kind of cruising through tonight. I was like, dear Lord, what is that? I don't even want to know what that's about. What the hell was I talking about? But anyway, so my apologies for getting a little too weird, but right. I'm just trying not to talk about politics. I'm just not.
Of course. That's what I'm saying. Like everybody that's shown up, come and gone, and then actually even stayed, because we are the troubled minds. You know what I mean? This is why, just like you're seeing the whole thing, we've talked about this too, is, that's the reason why we're here. It's that's why I find it a lot amazing, because, we've talked about this too before. It's like it's like a butterfly to a light. Everybody's attracted to this vibration. Because, we don't mess around, that's how you put the rules in the beginning. You know what I mean? We're not here to like bash people's ideas. You got to take that, reflect it. And that's how I do it. I take all information on, you know what I mean? Some can be some of the weirdest, some can be like, I don't know, but But how do I know? You know what I mean? I don't know the total answer or something like that. Maybe that idea was, right on, and it might be the wildest thing that out there. But that's why we're here. We share those ideas, and no one's even looked upon like, oh, you're wrong. But there's some people that have come and gone like that, that wanted to be always the right. But we're here to expand knowledge and share like stories and everything else. So I mean, good on you, man, and I like that. So my butterfly wings been here for 8 years, man.
And I appreciate it. And again, the first caller that called back and has been a good friend for a long time. I was lucky enough to meet Kelly and his wonderful wife Michelle. And rest in peace, their beautiful pit bull Isis, the queen of Egypt, right? Like such a sweet dog. Like you can tell a lot about people, not just of course sitting down with them and chatting, but by how they treat their dog and how their dog reacts to them, right? Like you can tell a lot about people. And let me tell you, that dog was a peach, absolute saint, that dog. And yeah, fire stuff, brother. I appreciate you very much. Tell Michelle we said hi. What else you got? Anything else to add to this? I know, like I'm not fishing for compliments. You don't have to do that, but I think there's been so many wild moments and ideas that come through the show. It's difficult for me to even pin down one and go, well, this is the craziest moment, because there's just been too many crazy moments, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I was going to go through and try to like look at some of the stuff, but like, I'm telling you, man, I mean, like, you're okay. I'll give you an example. Like one night we were talking about like, so this was all about UFOs, right? Or like the people that, that was so-called, or like, whistleblowers, but we were talking not like the whistleblowers nowadays. We're talking about like these gentlemen here, like W. Glenn Dennis, Jordan Maxwell, Sergeant Clifford Stone. He was an Army UFO consultant back, and he was retired. Robert Dean, he was a NATO intelligence. I mean, all these men are past, or deathbed confessions, right? Ron Gardner, Al Billick, Phil Schneider, Boyd Bushman, Stan Stano, Philip Corso, Bob Lazar. I mean, even though that they seem weird, like, but we wouldn't even know any of this stuff without some of these people coming out and saying it, you know what I mean? Actually really telling us. But because back then, a lot of people really took, they had like the World War I and II like that. And, they were with the government, you know what I mean? And they believed that not saying anything was, the thing to do. But when you get into something like that, that is something that, that's could be human altering, and it would be for the whole world, and these people just, if all these things are all true, then, they've been holding this down for a very long time. And this knowledge has got to, we've known about it, and that's why, people that's been before us, that I've studied and researched, looking at what they've done, through, Project Blue Book, all that stuff. I mean, I was all into that when those were years ago, I'm kind of trying to put out my age there, but we're about the same age, Michael. So we've seen all that stuff. We've seen it from like all that stuff was, we seen it when it first came out, like Star Wars, Buck Rogers, all that stuff on TV and radio. I mean, listening to The Night Stalker was actually pretty good, because I thought I was sitting there listening to Orson Welles, the War of the Worlds there for a minute. If him and Herschel got together, made something like that, that would have been great.
Maybe we should all get together and do something like that. I mean, it'd be easy enough to write it. We just have to sort of read the lines and edit it together. So, I mean, yeah, fire stuff. Look, like I said, I appreciate you very much. Thank you again for, like I said, look, I know I say things you disagree with and vice versa, but it doesn't matter, right? That's the point.
No.
That's the entire point. Let's talk about these ideas. Let's teach each other things we don't know. And Kelly has taught me a ton, like the Emerald Tablets we talked about so many years ago that I had no idea. And like I've spent time, of course, learning, reading them and talking about them and considering and all the rest. I mean, there's a lot here. And like I said, if you want to throw it out and just be like, whatevs, it's just stories. That's cool. Do it. But guess what? Storytelling is the most powerful technology, and we're here to do it together. And we're here for a reason. You're the best, brother. What else we got?
Just want to say congratulations, and we're still drinking that maybe juice.
Amen. Amen. The old logo up here. This one goes out to Kelly. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much for being part of this, and great call. Have a great night.
All right, you as well.
Thank you very much. You know we love him. That's again the first guy that ever called the show and called back. Years and years and years and years later, he's still calling the show. Tells you something, right? There's some staying power. And I wouldn't call myself a Jim Jones type, right? I would say instead the ideas are what are eternal. Consider them true or false, or somewhere in between. But certainly consider them. All the ideas. That's what it's all about. James, anything to add real quick? We'll go to Daryl, and then James, you get the last word.
Just great calls from everyone. Looking forward to the rest. And it is hard to pick a favorite show or a best show because there's just been so many, and especially when we do what we do, like you said in the very beginning of the show, we can't keep all that in our heads for forever. It's not possible.
No, too much. It's way too much. Like sometimes like on a whim, like I end up reading a bunch of stuff and then turn it into who knows what, and then I forget it the next day. So there's no chance. Like I said, go back and scroll through the podcast feed and be horrified with me at some of the weird stuff we've talked about. Yeah. Like I said, doing my best to avoid politics, honestly, because all of it disgusts me. At some point, you just get so dejected with some of the same narratives over and over again, said by, pundits, talking heads from both sides, just saying the same stuff and nobody really caring about what matters. And that's people dying. I laugh because it's comical. It's Clown World Carnival is what it is. And we've done plenty of shows on that in the past. 702-857-6939. It is not funny. People dying is not funny. Daryl in New York, thanks for being patient. You're on Troubled Minds. Go ahead. What you got for us tonight? Welcome to the
Hey,
thing.
Michael. I can't believe it's been 8 years, Wasn't it like yesterday, like that it was just 7 years anniversary? Something like that.
Maybe.
Feels like yesterday,
I didn't have the...
I just think it's amazing. It doesn't feel like it was that long. It feels like it was like 3 years ago. I don't know why it went by so fast. That's a lot of time. And time seems to be going quicker and quicker the older I get. It's not interesting. But remember when, I'm just going to bring up a few memories. Remember when you used to fundraise for the Fringe? Remember that? I do. Go back to those shows if you've got them. Actually, you don't because they've been removed, but they're still up. We'll put them up on Trouble Minds TV. But look at my face, how uncomfortable I was fundraising for the Fringe. But you're right. That's probably what you're going to bring up, right? You were so sweet, though. You were so sweet to do this. Are you going to put one up?
No, I can't. I'm not going to find them right now, but they will be up on troubledminds.tv. It's a paywall. Go listen to the podcast feed. And you'll hear it in my voice. You'll hear my voice quiver.
I know, I could believe that. Also, remember that guy that used to disguise his voice in a chat, and he had like that Darth Vader voice. What happened to him? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He's a good friend, and he lives in a country where the ideas we talk about could get him thrown in jail. And so he felt...
Oh, God.
Yeah, he felt increasingly paranoid, and he had to stop listening. Yeah. Very good dude. Very good dude. But he was so... I know the country he's from. I know the city he's from. He swore me to secrecy.
Wow.
I won't tell you where that is, but he was literally...
Don't worry, I don't want to know.
Yeah, he was literally afraid for his life that he was going to be dragged out of his house in the night and then jailed and beaten to death because he was listening to this show.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. We won't go there. I overheard something on this podcast, Wine and Crime. Have you heard that?
I've heard of it. I haven't heard it. No, I haven't heard it directly. I've heard of it, though.
They said, this is interesting what they said. They said, you know what the difference between a pickpocket and a peeping Tom is?
Oh.
A pickpocket snatches watches. Ooh. That's a bad one. I think that's pretty funny.
I'm gagging over here.
I just wanted to congratulate you, really. Honestly, I think you're doing a killer job. I used to call into podcasts and they used to humiliate me and make fun of me and, torture me and, hang up on me, whatever. And you were the first person that was actually kind to me, and you were very encouraging. You know, said, call back, you're fine. And I was like, my mouth dropped to the floor. I just couldn't believe somebody was as nice as you and as fabulous as you was doing something like this. It was great. And once you go, Mike, you never go back, right?
So they say. It's going to be a T-shirt. Yeah. I mean, look, that's the thing too. And I'm pretty sure I remember my first call with you too. It was kind of a tenuous, like, kind of feeling each other out space. And I think we talked COVID a little bit, and like it was one of those weird things
Not
where
COVID. It was before COVID, way before COVID.
You sure? No.
Oh, well,
yeah, you're right.
Are you serious?
Hold on.
COVID was like 5 years ago. Yeah.
Hold on. I got the date. So Derek asked me to look up the date. I got the date that we started on Fringe.
Oh, cool.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, excellent.
All right, strap in. So we can timestamp y'all if you found us on Fringe. It was.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'd love to hear some of those recordings. Actually, are they gone?
No. They're on the podcast feed. They're all on the podcast. Everything is on the podcast feed for free. Everything. So literally every single thing.
Shows.
Yeah, everything. So I did on January 25th, 2021 was my first show on Fringe FM. And it was Bigfoot Stories with an Expert featuring W.J. Sheehan of Bigfoot, Terror in the Woods. So January 25th, 2021. So you Fringe folks, you found me there.
No.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
2021?
I got a timestamp. I'm positive. I got a timestamp.
No. Oh,
for that stream.
We only came like 5 years ago.
Yeah, see?
That doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does. 5 years is a long ass time. It's a long time.
You did it 3 years before you went to the Fringe?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Oh, you're right then.
Not only that,
right.
Nobody listened before we got to the Fringe. It was the Roberts, it was Joe, and it was Kelly. And there was Todd in the chat, and there was a couple others in the chat. Like we literally, and look, and some, people have said to me recently, it's hard to do this stuff because like nobody shows up. Yeah. Like I did that for 3 years with nobody showing up, just a very small crew. And so eventually, right? I don't know. It turns like you stick with some things.
You endured.
Yeah.
Well, you were a breath of fresh air for the Fringe fans because we needed somebody to be nice to us, I suppose. Between Joe and Ryan Gable, forget it.
Oh my goodness,
I was bullied.
What do they say?
We were all bullied. A lot of us were bullied.
The beatings will continue until morale improves. Yeah, yeah.
Right. And God only knows what's in store for us. I was thinking. Well, I don't want to go there. Just hopefully we will have some peace in this world and we'll thrive again once and for all.
Amen.
Liberty and justice for all.
Amen. And hopefully that's the case. It's too much bad news in the world. And don't forget too, by the way, my brother said this. My brother, he's my little brother, but he's taller than me, and he's just incredibly intelligent. He's all the things like, I'm his big brother and he wishes to be like me, but let me tell you what, let's be real. I wish to be like him. And he said something incredibly wise to me. And he said, Mike, the world's always been a scary place. It's always been. It's us trying to make sense and order out of that chaos. And I think he's absolutely right. Things don't change.
Very smart.
Things remain the same, and it's just nasty, ugly, disgusting stuff. And here we are having to deal with it.
Yeah. Yep. It just gets more complicated and more higher technology and more difficult, I think. But we got to make it easy for each other. And God bless you. Thank you for doing this show. We love it. We love you. And I just want to say happy anniversary.
Thank you. And you as well. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for hanging out with us and being here as long as you have. And always bringing the jokes and the levity and just bringing yourself. You know your lover. That's Daryl in New York, the official cosmic comic of Troubled Minds. You know where to find her. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It says follow Daryl here. It's as simple as that. It's very simple. And like I said, I know we need to do more panel shows. We need to do more of these type of, not necessarily retrospective kiss my ass type stuff. And I'm never asking for that. Like if you don't like me, that's fine too. Like I said, this is not a popularity contest, because if it was, and you would recognize this sociopath in me, which is very, very tiny. It's not something I try and do, but I would be clickbaiting the hell out of every damn thing. I would be misrepresenting everything. I would be trying to tell you that things were real that weren't real and make you believe it. But I don't. Why? Really? Is my notoriety or a few more dollars in my pocket worth being part of the enshittification of the internet? Nah. I was raised better than that. Shout out Mama Strange, who called me yesterday and said I was listening to one of your shows, Mike, and nice job. I'm proud of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for raising me well enough to be here in this space. James, anything else? What you got? Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, great calls all night, and great to hear from everyone. And glad to be here as always. And yeah, looking forward to what's to come. And always happy to be here as well to help out when I can and go from there. But it's been a lot of fun just talking with you and everyone here and all the friends. 2021. That's funny because I think I started listening to you just before. Like I heard you somewhere, not like maybe like as a call, like not really a show. And I found you. And I listened for a little while. And then, and then 2021, I started listening more. And yeah, it's just amazing to think that I didn't know you. And then now it's really wild to think that because now we talk every day just about. So it's amazing how time is weird, as I always say. And it's very true. Whenever these kinds of anniversaries come up, I think it always reinforces that to me. But yeah, thank you for having me on as always.
No, I appreciate you very much. That's that. Look, you know the drill, right? It's not about owning somebody, get wrecked, muting somebody and lecturing them and telling them they're wrong about something when you don't even let them get a point out. Recognize what's happened on this show for years and years and years. 8 years, matter of fact. So 5 years-ish, Fringe FM, for the Fringe FM alumni there. I'm sorry for the beatings that will continue until morale improves. But recognize we can be nice to each other and we can disagree, and it's okay, because you know what, we are the influencers and we are the influenced. Oh yeah, shout out Fred too. My bad on this is what happens when you name names of people who've been here forever. Fred's been here forever too, like literally in the chat forever. And he says his favorite shows were when he called in, and he did call in a couple, maybe 3 times. Yeah, and one time he had surgery that morning or whatever, right? Like. Fred, they called it. I don't know if I twisted his arm a little too hard, but he called in that night too. But anyway, look, each and every one of you, look, it doesn't matter. Like if I left you out, my eternal apologies. That's not what this is about. troubledminds.org/friends. Click the Discord link. All the things. Just come say hi. Come meet these amazing people. Like I always say, the people that you get on the show are, they're abbreviated. They're like, not caricatures of themselves, but they're abbreviated because they only have so much time and there's a topic, and just come meet them. Like many of these people I've had the honor to hang out with and just kick it with on the Discord and stuff. So please do that. Join the Discord, come say hi, come meet James, come meet all these amazing folks that are active over there. I'm telling you, very smart people, very conscientious. There are no bad faith actors here. They're not allowed. Look, it's just not allowed. We don't bad faith act here. That's it. And if you want a bad faith act, there's so many other places you can go do that. That's it. Join the Discord. Follow us in all the places. You know where to find us is Kick, Rumble, Twitch, YouTube. I don't know. The radio station. I don't know. You know where to do. troubledminds.org. All the things right there on the right side. I don't know. What else do I say? I don't know. Other than thank goodness for a anniversary, because I was out of ideas tonight. So thank goodness that came out. That was a nice synchronicity. I was like, well, shit, I don't have anything to talk about. I spun through like dozens of ideas and nothing was clicking. And I was like, let's see what was happening at the beginning of Troubled Minds. And I scrolled back to the very first, and it was tonight. 8 years ago tonight was the very first stream of Troubled Minds. So there you go. Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. Thanks for being part of it. Thanks for caring about the ideas. And look, don't forget that we're all human. And we can disagree and all the rest of that stuff, but does it mean we got to kill each other? Like it's just, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that in the world around, ideological spaces turn into mass murder. It's been forever. It seems to be forever. And I'd just like it to stop. That's it. That's it. Yeah. What's up, Bioxy? Shout out says, all you have to do is open the lines as show topic will fall out. True. But it's also terrifying for me to show up with nothing to talk about, because I've done that in the past and it didn't turn out very well. But as Robert has said, it's before you had an audience, and that's kind of true. Look, I don't know. If you want to help Troubled Minds, help our friends. I say this a lot. Look, if you're not on the friends list, you should be. It's an in list. It's not an out list. Please trust me on that. If you have stuff to share and you help the show, all you have to do is help the show 1 iota. Spread the word. Repost us, retweet us, whatever. Just let people know a conversation's happening where I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. And I'm not going to doom monger. I'm literally not going to just tell you the end is nigh. The end is nigh. The end is nigh. It's the way you get the clicks. It's the way you get the interest. But I'm not going to do it. I refuse. I absolutely refuse to be that guy, because that guy, by the way, all of those guys out there that do that, they disgust me. And that's why I don't talk about them. And that's why I don't play clips from them. And that's why I don't chase down those stupid narratives. Okay? Because I don't want to live in a world where the end is always nigh. You get it? That's it. And of course, the outro echoes that heavily. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.